Welcome everyone to Purple Rain, the Valorant series, first ever women's
First ever
collegiate Valorant
collegiate
series.
women's. Yep, I'm
Uh,
super excited.
yeah, and we are presented by Rockstar.
Yes. Yep.
And would you like to get into the teams we have tonight? We have the
Yep.
UW's Husky Phantoms X versus the UCSD Navy.
Yep. I am super excited. We forgot to introduce ourselves. I'm Mackenzie. This is
I'm
Micah.
Micah.
And yeah, let's get into a little bit of the team composition that we've got going on tonight. We got UW Husky Phantoms X. They will be attacking first game on Ascent. I'm super excited. UCSD Navy will be defending. And I believe we got the roles that the different players are gonna play tonight.
Yep.
Um, if we can get that on screen. But it looks like we got one duelist on each of them, which
Yep.
is very much a tactical decision,
Yep.
but not something that I see in like
They
my
actually
elo.
look
So
they seem to be like mirrored team comps, pretty
yeah,
standard stuff.
yeah, we've got two initiators on each team, one duelist, one sentinel, and one controller.
Yep.
So I'm eagerly anticipating our duelist picks because it could really go just with whoever the player is most comfortable with. Obviously, like you don't see very many Reynas in like professional competitive things, just because her util is not the most useful. But I don't know, maybe we get some funky picks. I'm excited. I'm also excited to see which smokes because we're on Ascent, so I'm anticipating at least one Omen. I'm anticipating like an Omen or a Brim.
Yes.
But honestly, it could go anyway. If I see Viper, I might be a little bit disappointed just because she makes me sad on Ascent.
I am
But she's useful.
I am glad you mentioned that the starting map is Ascent. And do you want to get into the
Yep.
team that is starting defending game one?
Yeah, UCSD Navy, I believe, is defending, and then UW Husky Phantoms X will be attacking. Ascent is actually my favorite map in the game. My favorite or my first or my second favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And as you can see on the stream right now, these are gonna be this is gonna
Yes.
be a best of three series.
Yep. Which basically we're just gonna play 3 games or
Yep.
2 games. Honestly,
It's the best of
they
three.
might get rolled.
And of course, there will be a $5,000 prize pool for the overall event.
Yep.
So it's very much something to look forward to. Again, that prize pool itself is funded almost entirely by Rockstar. So this event is presented by Rockstar.
Oh yeah.
And we prepared before the
Dub.
stream by bringing our own. We might as well crack it open.
I wonder if our mics can pick it up.
I was gonna open it as close to the mic as possible.
I might have got a little bit of Rockstar in them. It's okay.
There we go.
But yeah, super excited. This is week 1, but all of the weeks are presented by Rockstar, so we're super thankful to have their support for this all women's collegiate Valorant series. I am super pumped.
And as you mentioned, this is
really
week 1, and we are GC Esports is hoping to stream one match every Thursday for every week until Purple Rain ends.
Which means that you'll see us next week. You better come back because we're gonna be here next week, same time, baby.
Yippee.
What?
Oh
Okay,
yes.
yeah. And we have some videos, actually, very exciting videos to get you a little bit hyped. Little promotional video, and we got a matchup video, and I think we're gonna show
Sort of
those
pull
to
together
you.
this pre-show.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome back.
Those
I
videos
hope
are
you
awesome.
really enjoyed that promotional video. I just wanted to get some audience excitement generated. Again, first ever women's only collegiate Valorant League. Gonna be really exciting stuff,
It's super
especially
exciting.
starting week 1.
Yep. And I honestly, this is a little bit off topic, but I really like and I really like.
Yeah,
So those videos make me really happy just because
honestly,
this
just,
is
huge shout out
different.
to our graphical and content teams.
Yeah.
They really put together a lot of
Huge
stuff.
shout out. They're working super hard to get all this stuff. I know that our good friend here done a lot of the work by herself, but we have a big team of people working on just the way that our brand is composed, and I think that this is a little funky new thing for the funky new thing that we're doing, and I really like it. So I
like I said, it was very exciting stuff to really pump the crowd into this event as we get ready to get started and get ready to close out this pre-show.
So let's talk a little bit about the rules of the game, if we're ready for the rules.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So as we said, it is a best of 3 matches, but within those matches, we'll do a little brush up on the rules of the actual game itself. So Valorant, typically a first to 13, but you have to win by 2. Win by 2. I play the game. I promise. You have to win by 2 matches, which basically means that it could go on forever and ever, but it won't. But yeah, it's first to 13. We'll be playing halfway through the game. The teams will switch sides. So we have one team on attacking, one team on defense, and then after the first 6 rounds, we're gonna switch, and they'll be on opposite sides.
And we're starting with Navy defending for round 1.
I think so. Yeah.
Game 1.
But yeah, we've got lots of different roles, like I was talking about on the team makeup screen. We got duelists, which are typically the ones that get into sight first. We got controllers, which usually smoke off areas,
so they have a lot of
control a little bit of the movement of the enemy team, especially useful on attacking, so you can block off some of those typical entry points for the defenders once they rotate onto site when they know that the team attacking is going there. We got initiators, which basically give away the enemy's position.
Yeah.
Like I know Sova's recon dart is actually really useful because you can bounce it off of things.
Like
it'll show you where everybody is.
Yeah, because like other FPSs of a similar genre, so much of the game is going to revolve around that control of information between your own team and the opposing team. So it's really important to either smoke out your own positions or to bring out the opponent's position.
Control of information and control of movement is super important, and the abilities in Valorant, which make this especially unique in comparison with other FPS games, to really hone in that importance of like knowledge and movement, which is what the roles are designed to control. Then we got Sentinels, which it's an interesting group because we got a little bit of a mixed bag. Like we have Sage and Sky, or Sky's an initiator, but Sky is healing. Sage has healing powers and has a wall that can block things off. But then our other Sentinel friends have little gadgets, little bots that can.
Right.
I love our other Sentinel friends because they have little guys that they can put down.
You know, as we and when we showed the teams earlier, you can see that again. As we mentioned, we're essentially. It seems like both teams are planning to run the same team composition. We could see if that changes up to any, but it should remain relatively consistent throughout the match.
I'm super excited to see our agent picks, which I assume we're going to very soon, but I'm super excited. A little bit about the map. Our first map is Ascent,
right?
And like most of the maps, not all, but most of them, it has got 2 sites, and I honestly think that it is the prettiest map in the game. Lotus is pretty new.
I was just about to say,
it's got
Lotus
has some
nice.
novelty. Lots of people, I've been hearing a few people say that Lotus is prettier than Ascent, and that makes me sad because Lotus is just new, and I personally think that it is prettier than Ascent.
You're saying I have to admit, Lotus is it's pretty nice.
It
you
is
got
pretty.
The big
I'm not
Lotus
saying
flower.
I'm not saying that it's not pretty. I'm just saying.
Feels like that's what you're saying.
It's not. It's a little bit what I'm saying.
Wow.
No, Lotus is really. It's just got a lot of sand. It's just got a lot of sand.
You just don't want people to portray like their old lover in Ascent for the new kid in town of Lotus.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm saying that we don't divorce Ascent's beauty just because Lotus is new. Because Lotus is really sandy, and it's a lot of the same color. Ascent's got a lot of Ascent has a lot of variety. Like, I don't know, man.
I mean, we live in Arizona. It's very sandy here. A lot of the same color, you know.
Didn't say.
So you have no beauty.
That
you have
is no
admiration for the beauty.
That is not relevant.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was just bringing up.
But yeah. Ascent is a really beautiful map, so I'm excited that I get to see it tonight.
Yes.
But yeah.
What
do you know about the maps? What's your fave?
Well, we just discussed. I was just defending.
Lotus is your fave.
I was just defending.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's your
favorite
favorite because I could defend all the maps for being pretty.
I do think Ascent is definitely a very interesting match to start with.
It's lots of people say that Ascent is the best in the game because I used to not like it just because I didn't do personally well on the map, but then but then I heard
I appreciate
some
the
valid
honesty that we
arguments.
have
I
in the
talked to
room
my
tonight.
boyfriend about it, and he was giving me all the technicality stuff of like why it actually is a good map. So I've gotta say,
I'm sure that was a wonderful couples argument you have.
yeah, I was like, I really don't like Ascent, and he was like, why? It's the best one. I was like, 'cause it makes me sad. It makes me sad. Okay.
It brings back traumatic memories.
Yes, but I really like.
Talk
really
talk
like
about
playing
biased
Ascent.
commentary.
Okay. I will be biased towards the map only.
Yeah.
That's the only really bias I got. That and the agent that I main. Well, I don't play her as much anymore, but Neon is my favorite.
So you were just talking about not taking on the new map for the old one. You've been cheating on your main.
I'm not cheating on her. I'm just bad at her. So it would not be good if I played her in my comp matches.
You're like sorry, honey. This isn't good for either of us.
Yeah, it just
I've
really
gotta move
it wasn't a healthy relationship because I don't know how to use her util appropriately sometimes. But Neon is my favorite. I think that she's super cool, fast.
Who are you picking up in Strange?
I can't say that there's really one agent that I've been playing more. I definitely have been, because I've been backing off of comp a little bit because it makes me sad. So in my unranked games, sometimes, don't sue me, but I will install Reina occasionally, which lots of people look down upon, for good reason, and I do too. I'm very much a hypocrite because I will be like, oh, I can't believe they just installed Reina, like that's so annoying, and then in the next game I will install Reina.
Get a load of this guy.
But I do. Oh, actually, Raze is very fun. I have been playing Raze recently. I played her in comp. I played her in unranked, but I'm.
And speaking of all those wonderful characters, we are going to go to agent picks for the teams coming up right now. I know you were so excited for this. Yeah.
I'm super excited.
Yippee!
Okay, let's go. Oh, we got Jet as our duelist on both. Definitely Jet for UCSD.
My favorite robot on UCSD.
We'll see if you dub your favorite robot.
My favorite robot.
KO.
It's a KO.
Yeah. Looks like we got Omen as smokes on both.
I was gonna say you got Omen on both sides.
Yep. We got KJ also on both teams as our sentinel, and then we got Sova.
As I mentioned earlier,
teams.
we have very similar team comps.
Yeah.
To the point that the character selections are nearly the same.
Yeah.
With one difference each.
Yeah, there is one difference.
There's KO on UCSD and.
Yep. And on UW.
Yeah.
Breach is lots of people think that Breach is annoying, but his util is very useful.
Choose your agent.
Yeah.
And he is annoying. They are correct. but his util is really good on certain maps. Like he's really good on Lotus, and he apparently. So I'm excited to see how they use him to get space in these areas.
I've noticed a lot that oftentimes people, especially if they're not like comp yet, they really mix good and annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it's Breach's.
You don't think it's ever annoying if you win against it. You know what I'm saying?
Fair. I think Breach will be interesting because I don't know how useful, particularly his util will be in
See, I mean,
mid.
you were saying Lotus is all sandy. Ascent is in California.
That doesn't mean that it's sandy.
There's the buy phase.
See, look how pretty this is. Look how pretty this is. It's so pretty. But it looks like we got.
Basically, all members of the team moving to their entry point.
Yeah, let's see. I'm excited for these KJ setups because Killjoy is very, very good on Ascent. I'm excited to see the setups.
Right.
Yeah. But KJ, I'm excited to see if we have any funny setups with our. Well, I saw the turret, which is like that's the basic place to put the turret. There's nothing wrong with that. It's ooh, celestial knife. Sorry. It's that one. It's a fan.
I do really enjoy the
It's really
the
good.
weapons and design.
I do love weapon skins, but we are getting started in the first round.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
super
just flexing
excited.
their skins, you know.
Yeah, they are flexing. But it looks like we're attacking A. Looks like maybe a little bit of a mid push.
Yes.
We're gonna see. Starting off very slow. We got a couple walking up cat into tree. Let's see. Yep, gets that pick early.
I say here comes our first scrimmage of the match.
Taking out one of our defenders, but they're getting another one.
really pinned down.
Yep, they have taken site, and now it's up to the last 2 members on the defending team to
Honestly,
rotate efficiently.
not a good position you want to be starting from at the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
right?
Just really, UW took out all of the defenders on A site very quickly.
Very,
and now
very
it's up,
dominant defense from UW so far.
And now it's up to the last 2 remaining defenders for UCSD to take this space back and defuse a spike. So we got Sova shock dart. We got see a little bit of breach util there that was shaking up crack in the ground, taking out that breach. Oh, and the attackers won. Both of them playing back main, and the spike's gonna explode.
They pulled it back.
They did pull it back. And now we will expect to see some buys here from UW, but UCSD is going to have to save a little bit, which puts them at a disadvantage in round 2 because they don't have as many credits to work with.
Yeah, because we mentioned before that there's obviously the aspect of information and also mobility, but there's also the economy.
Yes, the economy.
The
makeup of the Valorant economy is very important.
It's more so just resource management, and it's just self-explanatory that if you're basically barred off from those resources early on, you're gonna have a hard time picking up steam later.
See, okay, that breach util is very useful. It's awesome because it stuns everybody, and it's really annoying. But it looks like we got all 5 from UW pushing up on A main, maybe a couple going back mid, but that Jet is watching tree, and it looks like Cage is a little bit. But UCSD is not fully committed to A site because UW hasn't fully committed. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they have to rotate if UW decides to push.
Yeah, not so much an immediate contact as there was in the last round.
Yeah, well, it did. Both of these rounds are starting up very, very slow, I think, but it looks like we're pushing in a little bit. Yeah, UW pushing in really hard. Now they took their little breather, got themselves ready, and now they're pushing in, taking out 3 people on UCSD already, just like last time. But now it is KJ and Jet left heaven to take back side.
It's 3-2.
So we see that KJ util there. We put the little turret out to get our guys.
I say our little gadgets, as we like to say.
I love the little gadgets.
Yeah, I noticed the drone going up early in the match, but here we go. The attackers won.
Yep.
That is UCSD up 2-0.
Yep, taking round 2. The economy of UCSD, they're going to be able to buy now a little bit. Some of them might have to half buy, depending on how many kills they got. But, yeah, the economy is not looking great for UCSD. UW is sitting pretty, though. We get to full buy. We get to full buy this round, which means this is a really big advantage.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
But yeah, UW is at a really big. Oh, and UW's breach is going sheriff only, which is interesting considering that he could. Well, he could be saving for an op, which could be really useful in round 3.
As you were saying, saving those resources into a later round, especially when UW is already behind.
Yeah, it looks like UW has not full bought this round. We got 2 of our players on Spectre, one's going sheriff only, and they do have the advantage, but it looks like they're saving up just in case things go badly here soon. But a little bit of a faster push, maybe. We got 3 going through mid, and just our 2 going. We're pushing A main, but they were going back to mid.
The team's more split than last round, but they're both pulling back to mid.
It does look like we're going to see a little bit of mid to A, and UCSD still watching that main, maybe catching on a little bit. But we're going to see if there's a faster rotate here from our 2 B site defenders on UCSD.
About 40 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, UW is running out of time a little bit to plant this spike, but not too big of a time restraint, just a little bit slower than they've pushed in the past. Definitely a much quicker rotate from the 2 B-side defenders on UCSD.
Already only losing 1.
Yep. And now we just have Killjoy and Sova still rotating faster than they did the last 2 rounds, but still too slow to get there in time to save some of their teammates.
Spike officially planted, but...
So we're going to see what UCSD was able to buy, because this disadvantage of the weapons, taking out that turret's going to be
There's definitely a
really
disadvantage
important.
for UW with the spike being planted so late in the round. They're already a player disadvantage, and the attackers winning.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how UCSD is going to change up a little bit of their defense strategy, because UW might be baiting a little bit of a harder defense on A just to switch it up and go B. But it looks like we have Sova on UCSD going mid again. KJ's gonna set up B, looks like. Yeah, doesn't look like much has changed, but I'm curious to see.
I feel a little foolish, do you know why I feel?
Why?
Because I mixed up the colors.
That's alright.
My bad.
Yep, we got UW in red and we got UCSD in blue.
Yes.
And it looks like...
I just figured attack or defender.
Yes. Well, it is attack and defend. UW's attacking. Red, evil. But it looks like they're very poised to go mid, but I'm unsure which site they're going to go in, and that it puts them at an advantage for UCSD, especially because we've been slower. They've been slower on those rotate times that like baiting out a little bit of hesitancy will be really useful. Yeah, we have two. I wouldn't call it lurking, but just holding that rotate perhaps. It looks like we got Omen coming over to A site and Killjoy. Yep, they're rotating back, and it looks like it's going to be a 5 push on A main. They might go mid, but
Day peeking that corner.
And it looks like
few opponents on just the other side.
Yeah, we have UCSD's Omen is holding mid. KJ went back B just to make sure, and we have like 3 off of A site right now, and there's 4 poised to push.
Yeah, several members of UCSD just peeking those corners, bobbing and weaving. Try not to give away position, but waiting for just the right time to push.
This hesitancy from UW is just really good because UCSD hasn't known what to do, and because we know that they're slower on those rotate times, this puts UW at a really big advantage because they have sight right now.
That is
they completely have control of sight because UCSD was hesitant. They didn't know where they were going. They figured, oh, A is clear, so let's go check B, and then oh, B is clear, so we'll go back, and then UW just waited for sight to be clear, and they made it on the planted the spike again.
That is honestly the advice here the most that is good to not just like wait too long, obviously, but just to keep a little hesitance in your mind, not really show your hand, and be real. And there we go. I believe that's UCSD taking their first round.
Yep, this is really good because that was really good. That was really good strategic thinking from UW. But oh, he aced! I did not even see that was a potential ace. That's really good. That KO won.
Back to the buy phase. UCSD taking their first round. UW still up 3-1. But as we said, it's a long way from the end state of the game. So.
Yep. And looks like everybody's gonna full buy because now it's kind of reset now with UCSD taking around. Looks like everybody they got their heads in the game. They get to full buy, and we're gonna see. Yeah, looks like we're gonna see a B push.
I see now what you were talking about with their economy falling behind, but now that they take that round, it's much likely to catch up because they're getting more even in kills.
Yep.
It was a good like moment of solace knowing that each round has stayed relatively close in terms of the end state with how many players left on each side. Where it's usually a 3v2.
Yeah, and it looks like much faster push on B from UW, and we're gonna see because we currently at UCSD we've got 3 people off site right now, and 1 on site just died. So we're gonna. I say
2 players, 1 player in each team gunned down.
We'll see. UCSD really needs to get on these rotate times because UW has been able to effectively take site really fast. It looks like they might just be more effective at playing retake, but we're gonna see how they adapt their playstyle. Maybe some of these retake positions we got.
We see the whole game shifting to B as UCSD closes in. They are in a player advantage right now, but 6 seconds. Defenders win.
Yep, and those numbers are really important because it's a 3v1 and you're the only one on, and you're just playing on site. And a 3v1 when they're all pushing from the same place is really difficult to take back.
Right. UCSD taking yet another round, catching up now 3-2 with the UW still at an advantage. But like we mentioned, UCSD had the heavy player advantage last time. It was a 3v2, then a 3v1, and then they closed it out.
Yep.
5 phases, only 10 seconds from ending.
Yep. Looks like a B push might be a little slower because they're back a little bit. We'll see. We got Owen Smokes going up on A.
Bean cubed. I like that tag.
It is a good tag. We'll see. We're seeing a good mid push. It looks like it's going to be mid to B since they're not walking up cat. And it looks like Killjoy's going to go main. Maybe a little bit of contact with that Sova from UCSD.
I have standoff there. UCSD then claiming the player from the advantage earlier.
Yep. So now sitting on site, just hoping to get some more picks from on site as the whole UW plus Phantom X push through market and just get picked off.
So USD Navy coming far in the lead with UW's now having to take a 1v4. You see this pin down to that corner.
Yep.
He's getting tougher in the second on the clock. But they're pulling it back.
Yeah, it does not
1v4
appear that
just
she
became a
has
1v3.
spike yet. Yeah. Yep.
There we go, they finished one. I was like, because they didn't even plant yet.
Yeah. Pushing out when everybody knows where you are and you know where maybe one of them are is just it's really difficult, especially when you don't have spike. You can't plant, you can't rotate, you can't do anything, and everybody knows where you're gonna peek from. Playing with those expectations might have been a little bit more advantageous, but we'll see. Scores now even.
I would say
UCSD taking
yeah,
3 rounds in a row, I believe.
Yeah, like UW's losing the early game lead because they took 3 games. Now Navy has taken 3 games.
Yep. Economy's still good, but if UW loses this round, we may have to light by next round. But we will see. Shooting out that K knife really important.
The rich get richer. What can I say?
The rich do get richer in Valorant.
But right now, this economy's balanced.
Yep. There's that huge ult.
I would say there we see ult going on.
Just pushes them back because they're taking side again. Like I said, Breach Util really annoying. As I was saying, Breach is really annoying because look how easily they just took site. But that KJ ult, that counter ult's really good if we get and Breach gets detained. But it looks like he might be safe if he can get out of he's out of line of sight.
I say he seems relatively safe because he's out of the line of sight of all opponents.
And his Omen just smoked him off, so he's chilling. Now no longer detained, throwing up that util.
Right
yeah. I love Valorant teamwork.
Yeah. Teamwork. Yay!
Yippee! Looks like I'm not sure why UCSD's Omen is begun to rotate, but it looks like he's coming back a little slowly.
I think planting is going down right now.
Yep. It sounded like, he's planting
I said they're attempting, but
yeah.
there's still some skirmishes going on.
Yeah, that's Silva ult. If Silva knows where you are and you're planting and he ults like you cannot plant, you have to move.
And you're like,
otherwise you're dead.
I gotta get out of here.
Ruh-roh.
1v1 just like that,
Dang.
but UCSD takes the round.
Yep, with a 3K from Bean Cubed. Bean Cubed. Love that name. And defuses Spike, taking their 4th round in a row. UW Husky Phantoms X has lost that early read, going 3-1. Like, is now 4-3.
UCSD is now 4-3.
It is. UW Husky Phantoms X taking their first timeout. And yeah, we are going to talk a little bit about the strategy.
I was actually going to ask if you could remind the audience how many timeouts we get per match.
I actually do not know.
Oh well.
That is a good question. Do we know how many timeouts each team gets? No, we don't know. We don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, that just makes the tension all the more exciting. Yes. It's a moment of suspense.
So excited to see how many timeouts we take. So that's my favorite part.
But as you were saying, let's talk about the strategy though now.
Yeah. So UW Husky Phantoms X, they took that early lead really strong. They kept up that momentum, but then UCSD started taking it back, and now they won 4 rounds in a row because it was 3-0, and then UCSD won a round, right? And then it was 3-1. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 3-0, then reverse 3-0, now 4-1. Yep.
So winning 4 rounds in a row is really good for their
especially
for
when
their
you're
economy.
Down 3. I can see why timeout was pulled.
Yep.
Try
and we are
recuperate.
Back in El Juego. That's the game.
Yeah, I know. That's the game in Spanish. You know where else I want to go? La Biblioteca.
La Biblioteca. But yeah, it looks like
library.
looks like UW Husky Phantoms X going B again. Maybe a little bit of a mid push, maybe some more main. But yeah, we'll see how we change.
I'm assuming there is a decent merit to essentially mixing up your options between B and A and mid.
Yes. Yeah, because if you know that one, like the
it's somewhat
opposing
of a rock,
team
paper, scissors
is really strong on defense on A, then you're gonna want to switch. And if they're really strong defense on B, then you're gonna want to switch back. And since KJ had to set up B, it might be, if this round goes poorly for UW, we're I would expect to see them go back to A.
A major portion of that mix-up is also just an early round going extremely well for UCSD Navy, but I was saying that another thing is because of that early game today where you're trying to bob and weave past your opponents. You also obviously don't want them to know exactly where you're heading to first.
There's now a 2v4. Sova has 17 HP for Husky Phantoms X. KJ planting, but we're gonna see
taken
because
out.
the util here is not particularly in lead. Yep, and we see UCSD taking another round defusing that spike.
Yeah. That's the other thing is like now you can just comfortably defuse that spike now that the opponents are gone.
Yep,
that's the other interesting thing I've honestly read up a lot on is playing a pretty safe post-plant game because obviously the time it takes to defuse the plant it's like around 8 seconds.
It's like 4.
4, okay.
Yeah.
But the point is that the actual time it takes for the spike to go off and you're free to win the round is actually smaller than the game would make it appear because it takes time to defuse that spike, and of course.
So even if all the attackers die, like if the spike
if
the spike goes off, the attackers still win.
Exactly. So I was like they're not truly safe until you defuse that spike.
And like I said, B going very poorly, especially with all like KJ util set up there. You're going back to A.
And so that's one of the unfortunate things for UW's last round is that every time they've been able to like plant the spike, it immediately like follows into a skirmish where they're not able to play it very safe. They kind of just get locked down in a shootout. And honestly, for every round that's been won from either team, a lot of times we see that just taking the early kill lead is kind of everything, because even if you get that spike planted, you're not really going to be able to defend it with 2 to 4 or 1 to 4. Even.
It looks like UW's Jet is planning for a little bit of a flank. Maybe their Sova too, but we might see our B-side defenders Sova and KJ here on UCSD get picked off here. Oh no, we are all going mid. It might be we might be rotating.
So they're actually rotating just around. Saying playing a safer bet, not trying to go immediately for that shootout.
KJ throwing her nades down. See if she catches anybody in those.
From sight,
I haven't actually seen her with any crazy setup yet, which I was anticipating, but using that util mostly in a need basis.
I see planting is going up right now. Goes off. The spike is planted.
Yep.
It is a 1v4. Now 1v3. Again, the remaining player on UW is going to have to play this pretty safe, and they're taken out.
Yep.
Probably another plenty of time to just safely defuse that spike.
Thanks.
Yep.
They almost left it.
Yeah, Sova's defusing here because Sova gets ult if he does that.
Got it.
So now he's got ult for the next round, and
that is a pretty, like I said, rich get richer. Another advantage for UCSD going into next round. They've officially won 6 rounds in a row.
Yes.
Which
is crazy.
And probably a little disheartening for UW's players.
Disheartening and this economy be bad.
This economy be bad. That's what I'd be saying.
We're still managing to full buy. I would assume because of the kills that we're able to get, but I would not assume that if this streak continues that we're going to see very many Vandals or Phantoms.
There is always
on
the chance
for
the streak to turn around, because sometimes you can get into like the mindset of the players of like, oh well, even though if it's disheartening, it could also be very empowering.
The
but at the same time,
is crazy.
I was like, but as much as it should feel empowering, like we said, your economy and your ability to buy up is not empowering.
We'll see maybe another pick here for UCSD Jet taking out 2, walking up Cat here, maybe getting a 3rd. We'll see, and then we have 2 more who were going to push main, but now they're choosing to go with their Omen, which may be a bad idea, especially if this Jet can hold down this site.
They're rotating around to mid.
Just slow walking up that catwalk
Like I said, trying to play it safe now that you're at a disadvantage of 5 to 3 is pretty important.
Like Jet leaving tree. Maybe hearing some footsteps because it looks like UW's Jet is going around to be walking back up to Cat. Never mind. But yeah, Omen has made it in a tree. I think mainly because Jet left, probably.
So UW's all trying to.
30 seconds left.
Trying to join.
Yeah. Putting that smoke down really beneficial here because Jet can't. The shorty plays. Holy cannoli.
Oh
that
my goodness.
he's so mad right now. Omen is he's so mad right now.
Fuming.
He's fuming.
Stomping
He's
around the room.
molding. But we're taking oof.
But the defenders still pull out the win.
Yep. Getting our UW's Jet got a 3K there, but it was just not
It was
enough.
not enough.
It was just
I
not
mean,
enough.
you try so hard and you don't succeed.
And you fall so far.
The bigger they are.
But in the end, does it really matter?
Yeah. 7 wins in a row for UCSD.
Just a crazy streak, especially coming off of a
UW
0 and 3 at the beginning.
I say UW's gonna need to really catch up soon, because not only are they gonna be lagging behind in these bye phases, but it's also just for the sake of not lagging behind so far when we get closer to the end state.
You know, maybe it's tactical. Maybe you're going for the 9-3 so that they can flip it and they get the 9-3 curse buff.
Just like
because it's real, my God.
Just as it happened in the early game, where it's like, you know, they were up 3-0, then now they're down, but maybe it's coming back around.
Yep. Looks like Killjoy from UW is going over on B site, maybe looking for a pick from them. But UCSD's KJ's been really effective at holding down B site. Looks like he's rotating, and yeah, just a really hard push from UW here, pushing up into the defense areas, hoping to not get them on site at all, which could be, because I don't think we've seen them do that. They push up really far into the defender's area, which may be beneficial, but on this rotation, they might get picked off. But now 2v2 or 2v3, Cage is really low health,
and
which
that spike's been
could be
planted
really
for quite
bad.
some time now.
Yeah, planted, and it's a 1v2. We'll see.
So you can even hear in the game audio as it's picking up. But
yep.
Here comes the diffusion phase.
Yep.
And she closes it out. Very close there.
Not, you would think.
You would think?
You would think that 7.52 seconds left in the round is close, but I have seen...
You've seen worse?
Like 0.3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because the spike, the beeping gets faster.
Yeah. That's what I meant, is that the beeping
so
gets faster puts up a lot of stress.
Yep. We're going to see a little bit of a KJ setup. I wonder if she's going to throw any of their util down, but it looks like we're playing a little bit split. We might be going B or mid from both sides. Or maybe an A push.
And this is the last round before we swap attackers and defenders.
UCSD's been playing basically the same composition, like, of the agents that they have on each site. Like, we have Silva and KJ usually start off on B and then rotate. They're rotating faster, which is good. I can see.
And as we've seen, that composition is mostly proven pretty successful for them.
Yep. Got 3 on A, which was interesting in the first 3 rounds because they had 3 defenders on A, but UW was able to take A very, very quickly. But now it seems that taking any side is a little bit of a struggle, especially in the post play, because UW has been especially Omen ulting just to look around.
Say UW all up that right lane.
Yep.
Trying to creep their way along to 1A. Well,
looks like we were baiting a little bit of the defense to go mid, but now it's a hard push through main. Omen holding that flank, and now we've got 4 of UW on site, and UCSD is rotating through the usual areas.
Spike now planted.
Yep, shooting at that wall for a little bit more of a visual on the site.
This is starting up at the better round for UW because they were able to successfully play UCSD for quite some time. But
we've lasted
UCSD
longer
has now, UCSD has now closed in on their location. The teams are still even. That is because often a lot of times you see UW going into the post plant phase,
taking out
with 1 or 2
3 of UCSD's defenders.
Very good game.
Very quickly
for UW so far. There we go. Attackers do win.
They did not get 9-3 curse. They got 8-4, which could be worse. but now
so
we have UW.
We saw UCSD win 8 games in a row with UW now taking 1 back, making it 8-4 for UCSD's favor.
Yep.
We've
got UCSD Navy on attack now, and the UW Husky Phantoms X on defense.
And how do you think UW's spy phase is going to go now that they took their first round back after
so
losing streak?
Once it switches, you actually get your credits completely reset. So everybody's going to be starting off with usually either a classic or a ghost because you want to buy some of your util, but sometimes people go a little crazy. But yeah, we'll see lots of, like, we've seen 2 ghosts so far, but I'm assuming mostly.
I'm glad you mentioned that as we said earlier in the round, that we are now switching positions.
Yep.
UCSD attacking. UW on the defense now.
Yep. And KJ on both teams has gone B on defense. The defense pushing up very fast on B. We have KJ and Sova pushing up into main a little bit. KJ holding that corner. That's one of my favorite places to sit, especially in buy round, or especially in the first buy round of the half. I really love sitting there with a shorty because it's really fun. Because if people don't clear that corner fast enough, then you shorty them really fast. Ooh, and Omen from Market taking out KJ, ruining her advantageous position. But now it's a 3v5 for UCSD.
Spike planted.
As a UCSD continuing to take up those picks.
Yep.
UW now firing back.
Making it a 3v4. We're gonna see.
Definitely
Our
not
defenders
unbeatable
push
odds,
up
especially in going into the
faster.
post-plant phase, but with both teams really closing in. Now 3v2.
So just barely missing somebody.
And
Yeah, there we
I
go.
would
With the
say
frenzy.
last woman standing, but she is taken out, and the attackers have won. UCSD again setting a standard for the coming rounds.
Yep. And see, we get to half buy. We got stingers. We got. I love the stinger. They nerfed it. They tried to nerf it,
Did it
and
work?
they did nerf it. It
Did the nerf
kind
work?
of. It is now like. It went from like 950 credits to 1100 credits, which everybody thought was gonna be like, oh my gosh, but it's still awesome. They also increase the damage fall off, but it's I still stinger digger, dude. Like I love the stinger. And it looks like, do we have all 5 defenders on A site pushing up so fast? That KG is in a really bad spot. She's throwing out her mollies there. But UCSD has B site entirely because all 5 are trying to take out. Yeah, that KJ. She knew.
I was about to say, I was like, UCSD is crawling all over B site, but we
Yeah.
did see UCSD's KJ pushing up, but
Yeah.
all by her lonesome, UW just picks her
Just
off.
taken out. You can see her sitting on that corner. She knew what was about to happen. She's like, please don't look, please don't look, please don't look here. I'm like, yeah, if I can't see you, you can't see me. And she's looking for the sky.
Yeah. I was like, how could she have known? The entire team.
Yeah, I honestly,
Pulled through.
there was no way to have known that all
Player standing.
of
But-
them would have sent there.
That's unfortunate.
Yep.
As I mentioned, though, that early game deficit, even though it's only 1 kill taken off, it can mean a lot when you go into a real skirmish between teams.
Yep. And in this half, we see UCSD with the same streak that UW started off. In the first, we've got now 2-0 in the second half of the game, which is how UW started off the first time. So I wonder if we're going to see that
Yeah,
flip and
3-0.
go into a tie, a little bit of
Yes.
overtime. But yeah, so far,
'Cause
first
UW's
2
actually brought
rounds,
it,
they've taken it.
So yeah, UW's brought it to 3-0. They win 3 rounds in a row
Yeah.
in their first phase, and so we can see if UCSD does go for the 3rd
Yep.
win, or if UW will turn this around. Like I said, it was unfortunate when UW took their 4th win that they weren't able to turn it into another streak, because they
Yeah.
had a streak of 3 wins. Then UCSD had a streak of 8 wins.
But yeah,
Which
when
is
you
obviously a
switch
little
that
more
half,
dominant.
it
Yeah.
messes up a little bit of your momentum.
It's a little dog.
It's a little dog. It's actually, that is just a normal part of the wall, but it's also a spray, and it is one of my favorite
Yeah.
sprays.
I was actually wondering. I was like, did they just put that spray down?
Nope,
Just a wall.
that is wall art, honestly. My favorite. Slower push here from UCSD on attacking, very much split, but we also see the UW defense not pushing up as hard as they did the first 2 rounds. Definitely not all 5 of them on the same.
So wow,
Ooh.
she pulled out that
Love the
1v2.
sheriff. But with 6 HP, looking a little rough. She's just gonna get as many picks as she can before she's taken out. Because she knows that this is not a good. Yep.
And there it goes.
But yeah, we have UW rotating really fast. Looks like Jets on the flank, and
Planting.
UCSD's got all 3 on site. KJ setting up her turret to watch that tree area, but it might catch Sova. But then we've got 1 main, 1 heaven. Looks like we're coming at them from all directions.
So 3v3.
Jet does
Still
have
in
very
early
low
post plant.
health. Ooh, not
Alright.
the Odin. You're evil. You're gross.
I was like, she's trying to pin them down.
Player
But,
standing.
and they are pinned there, but we're not picking up much damage.
Yep. She's only the Odin left, and he's taken out by the Stinger. Stinger.
So yeah, she's taken out, and the attackers claim another
Yep.
round.
Stinger v Odin, just 2 of possibly the most cringe weapons in the game. And the Stinger prevailed. So like that's what I'm saying. UW taking their time out, and we will
and it is
see
important to
if their
mention that,
strategy changes.
That both teams get 1 tactical timeout per half.
Yes. Yep.
UW was the team that called their timeout last. or was it UCSD?
I believe it was UW the
Right,
first
so-
half. So yeah, they're taking their timeout. UCSD hasn't taken
Any
any of their timeouts, but also they've been on a roll. So
So they've
there's-
been on a heavy roll ever since.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, they went down 0-3 at the
Yep.
beginning of the game, and then now have been on a roll ever since.
Yeah, so this could be to retalk some of the strategy that they're going in with, but it could also be to disrupt the momentum here from UCSD because they had that crazy momentum
Trying to ice,
and UW
trying
did
to ice
take
them
that
out a little
timeout.
bit.
Yeah,
But it's
just
probably definitely a strategic discussion, I
Yeah.
feel, of how they're trying to put together, trying to shore up their own weaknesses and point out
Yep.
those of the opponents, sort of recollect, recuperate, to try and get back into the role that they showed that they were capable of at the beginning of the match.
Yep. But yeah, I'm curious to see if we're gonna see. Sounds like we're getting back in, but I'm curious to see how we change up our strategy a little bit.
All right, back to another bye phase with UCSD up 11-4. Definitely, I would say a grueling economic position, but as you mentioned, they have already reset because of the change.
Okay, UW's defense is interesting, and I
You-
rock with it so
I was
heavy.
just about to ask. I was just about to ask. I was like, a good interesting or a bad interesting?
I rock with it so heavy. We got UCSD pushing all 5 through A main, and all of UW's defense went mid. Sova did a little bit of a push through B main, but then ultimately went back mid with the rest of his team.
Planting in A.
And it's a 5v3 now, which is 4v2, which is definitely a difficult position for the defenders to be in, especially when trying to take back site that UCSD is taken so aggressively.
Yeah, even as even as interesting as that defense might be, it's just their positioning has been decent, but even the same, they just get picked off a lot faster when it gets harder for them to work with those built up.
Yep.
Attackers win.
Yep, and that could have honestly KO pulled his knife. That could have been really bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
just-
love the Valorant timing, and now we're at match point. So if UCSD wins this round, then they
Yeah.
take game 1 and we go on a map 2.
Yep.
But it's gonna be really interesting. The KDs look pretty even, honestly. Like I don't think any team is performing necessarily any better than the other. I just think that it's been all about positioning and knowing where your opponent is, and I just think there's been that tactical advantage that UCSD has had for whatever reason.
Oh, so they built up that room with better positioning, and then just push that lead further. Really, as I was mentioning, when UCSD started to pull ahead in the first place, that UW was going to have to catch up soon, and catch up quickly,
Yep.
or it would get harder in the endgame state, which we're now like officially in,
Yep.
because it is first 13 win by 2.
Yep.
So you want to really try to give them as much of their money as you can.
Yeah.
And keep it close, but has unfortunately not been able to keep
I
it
love
close.
that. I
But
love that
UW
ball
is
timing.
pulling ahead in this round now.
Yep, and it just sucks to be in this position, 12-4, because even if UW manages to pull this round out, they still. If UCSD takes even one round after this, then it's over.
Like I said, they don't have that wiggle room.
And it looks like they might take this game, so we might see just a massive, incredible comeback. But it is going to be a very difficult time.
It's going to be very hard for UCSD Navy to pull ahead in this round. But UW's, as we were just discussing, does win.
And now is a 12v5, which honestly doesn't put them in any better of a position than they were in the last round, because 12v4 and a 12v5, not very different situations.
Yes.
Because if UCSD takes this one round,
That's
then
the thing is the 12v4.
then the Navy wins.
12v4 is an 8-round difference. That's obviously very difficult. But a 7-round difference is not much of a nicer lead.
Yeah,
to be dealt with.
It does not feel any better, I think.
The Husky Phantoms X will have to catch up 5 more rounds.
Yep.
And then an extra.
Yeah,
for the
and then
measure
even
to
then they will
get back
go
that
into
win by
overtime,
2
and
range.
overtime sometimes is a very difficult situation because you're going between attacking and defending, which
If you're playing from the disadvantage in overtime, it's turn out to not be so pretty. Especially because UCSD, as of now, we've now seen them just pulling out a pretty dominant lead from both positions.
So it looks like we got a 5-man push through A main. UW is rotating. We got rotating really faster than UCSD usually does, but we'll see. that changes. We are
Yeah.
getting on site really fast. That Jet in space, like she is supposed to.
Sure. Quick trade, but
Spike down.
now UW pushing it more in their
Yep.
advantage, and the defenders win.
And now it is 12-6,
That's it.
which still doesn't feel that much better than an 8
Now it's a
game
6-point
difference,
lead.
but a 6 game difference feels
to
better.
be fair, that, and here comes the timeout now from UCSD. As we were mentioning, 7 isn't different from 8. 6 is a little different from
It is a little different from 8.
because as we said, first 13 win by 2. That's a 2-game difference. That is what you would need if the lead was any closer than it is. So it's still a lot to come back from, especially now that UCSD is playing out their timer. Because not only could they be recuperating strategically, it's honestly almost more likely that they're just trying to ice out UWs at this point.
Yeah.
With the Husky Phantoms X on a roll, and Navy trying to just stop their momentum altogether.
Yeah, and honestly, that might be what it is, because
That's
some of the
my
difference
personal opinion.
between 8 rounds and 7 rounds, and then an 8-6 difference is that 8-6 difference was taken in a 3-round win streak,
Yes.
which feels a lot better than a 2-round win streak or winning 1 round. So
just
that really is the main difference.
the fact
I
that
think.
it's any round win streak, which is what they need.
Honestly,
'cause
yeah.
like we had mentioned,
If that streak is broken
if
at all, then they're gone.
If UCSD breaks the streak, they win.
Yeah.
They win the game.
If they break the streak before they get to 12 rounds, then they're out. So it's. But they're
Well, I
definitely
believe-
feeling a
I
lot
believe
better.
the
I
Husky
think.
Phantoms X would need to make it to 11, right? Or would it be 10?
They need to make it to 12, because if they make it to 11 and then UCSD wins a round, then they still lose, because that's 2. 11 to 13.
Right, win by 2.
Yes.
Okay, I thought there was a 2-game difference. No, it's just by 2 at all.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, win by 2.
I was thinking win by 3.
It look.
All right.
This is an interesting play here from.
So
From our
Husky
attackers.
Phantoms X now tasked with the Herculean effort of winning 6 games in a row.
Yeah.
But UCSD, we saw have a similar win streak in the last half. So
Yeah.
we can see if that momentum picks up, or if UCSD's disrupting halftime will make the difference. Husky Phantoms X, however, taking the lead.
It is a 4v4 now, but our Omen's looking pretty bad. But we have sight now. UCSD has taken sight. We are planning spike, and it looks like UW Husky Phantoms X
Navy,
are
Navy
on,
has planted the spike.
on the rotate, pushing it a little bit slower, but mostly through heaven. We're gonna see. We have UCSD, Navy's KJ watching mid, but none of them are rotating through there, so it might be a little bit difficult. Breaking wall. She might get a pick here. Yep.
Another trade. Okay. Neither team has taken a lead because we've seen both trade each time. Just like that, the attackers
there we
win.
go.
Very close 1v1
Very-
at the end of the game.
Very close.
But Navy does pull the lead 13-6.
Yep. And we saw a
over
little bit of that.
UWs. But the
sportsmanship
UWs coming
in
out.
chat.
The UWs starting to come back from that deficit is really important, especially going
Yeah.
into the next game of this best 3 series.
Yep.
It's almost a similar case towards the end state of that round, where it was if you drop a game at all, you lose because they already had such a heavy lead built up. And now it's going to be a similar thing where they are now 1-0 in the series,
Yep.
and so UCSD needs to pick up another game to win that series. But UWs, as you said, coming out back with a bit more momentum towards the end of that round. Now, hopefully, more optimistic going into the next one.
Yep.
And we saw we saw UW take the early game lead last time. Now we get to see.
Yeah.
We're going to see a similar beginning game state.
We will see. But game one of the Valorant Purple Rain series.
I know, right?
Super exciting.
It's always good to remind everyone that
This is novel.
first week of the first ever women's
First
only.
week, first ever
collegiate-
women's only collegiate, first game.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything for first round. That's my
Yeah.
bad.
Well, we're gonna get the first round of the second game, and that's
first
just as
round
good.
of the second game ever.
yeah, the second game. That
The
works.
second game of the series.
I
the
would-
first and
I-
last
I,
second game
I
of the
would
series.
love a game 3 scenario in the first week ever.
Yeah, the first ever game 3 scenario in Purple Rain Valorant
in
series.
the first ever week 1.
First
See,
and last
next-
game 1.
So right before we go to that second game, we are going to take a brief 3-minute break, and then we'll be back with more fun, really intense games.
Yep.
See you soon.
Super excited.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Purple Rain Valorant series. Once again, first ever women's only
First
collegiate
ever.
series, and
First
we are gonna
ever.
get ready to go. Yeah, praise it as much as you want. Honestly, keep saying it. Say it
First
louder.
ever.
Say it louder.
First ever.
So we are gonna be going into Game 2 soon between
Yep.
the UW Husky Phantoms X and the UCSD Navy teams.
Yep.
And do you have any opening thoughts before we get ready to get into that? Because I mean,
First
we already
ever second game of the Purple Rain Valorant series.
It's a good thing to mention because, like, honestly, we already gave our closing thoughts, so
Yep.
it's a little bit. Now it's a
Yeah.
transitional period,
Yep.
you could say.
A little bit. I am excited to see what map we're playing on because I don't anticipate another Ascent.
Probably not Ascent,
Yeah.
especially with UCSD taking such a strong lead last round.
Oh, we're on Fracture.
We're going to Fracture.
I love
Exciting.
Fracture. Fracture's awesome. Some people really feel strong negative feelings towards Fracture, but
I was gonna mention. I
like
was like,
it.
when you say they feel
As
strongly,
a Neon and Raze player, I like Fracture.
here it is.
So yeah, I'm excited. We got Jet again as a duelist, but I'm excited to see who UCSD picks.
I was going to say
for our
different,
duelist.
slightly different character compositions as well.
Just a little bit. We got
I said
Brim for
slightly.
smokes.
That's
and
what I say.
then two
Brim on
breaches,
the UCSD team.
KJ's again, just because Jet and Raze.
And I believe in standard fashion we're seeing UW start as defending this round, right?
Yes. I love Raze on Fracture. Raze and Neon are probably the
'Cause
best
those are your
duelists.
those are your favorite.
I want to say
Those are your favorite characters.
they're my
already.
faves. They are
Yeah.
my faves. But yeah, Neon and Raze are probably the best duelists, honestly, on Fracture. Jet's really good on any map. They're all really good on any map, but I particularly like their util on Fracture, so I'm excited to see all the Raze plays on Fracture. I'm excited. Fade is actually a really fun agent to play. I don't play Initiator often, but when I do, it's Raze or it's Fade. So I'm excited because Fade's also good on this map. Fade's awesome. She is.
I assume
attacked.
we're seeing.
She's not
Correct me if I'm
attacked,
wrong, but I'm assuming we're seeing the same role composition, even though the character composition is starting. You're seeing it starting to shape a little bit differently as more picks are being made. We're actually still waiting for a pick on UW side. There it is.
Two duelists. And it's Reyna. Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
You just
Viper's
brew.
really good. Brim's also really good. These are two really good smoke picks. But yeah, two duelists is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be slightly more aggressive than the last one, but yeah, different team comp. We're seeing two breaches. Breaches really good on Fracture.
So
but
the
yeah.
role composition is slightly different.
It is slightly different. I don't know if maybe the order of the names changed. I doubt it, but yeah, we are seeing different characters or different players play different roles because I believe Jet was on the bottom last time, and she's not this time. So maybe it's just the order of things.
Jet stocks are way up.
Yeah, Jet stocks through the roof right now.
To the
But
moon.
I think that it's interesting that we were seeing Reyna. Reyna is she's a fine agent, I guess.
Yeah.
But her util isn't
What would
particularly
you
useful.
What would you say? Would you say UCSD is in a advantageous position getting to start on the attacking side when they're already a game up? Or would you say there's not really a difference between the advantage if you're starting defending or starting attacking?
Sometimes it depends on the map because some maps are better attacker
Well,
sided
and here they were on
defender-sided.
Fragment. Fracture. My bad.
But I mean it's pretty balanced in my opinion. Honestly, this is a pretty balanced map. It seems pretty balanced. So
I think
like,
the roles are pretty well balanced in terms of difficulty.
that breach util is so annoying.
I would say right off the bat too.
Yep. But yeah, trying to push, they're just not.
It's
They're
interesting
not on site. They're not there.
I would say it obscures your sight, but because of the effective ability, it does reveal your position. So they know your general area. They just can't see your specific area.
Yeah.
Especially useful if they get into a gunfight, or if you just want to drop it and then move position.
Yep. This frenzy plays from Fade.
And we are seeing a relatively even game.
Successful.
Nope. There it is again.
Okay.
Again,
It's a
trading back and forth
1v2
over and over,
now.
but UCSD is now up 2-1. You see the last living member of Husky Phantoms X peeking that corner, trying to pick them off. Revealing position with the few shots. Unfortunately, she missed them.
Yeah, but that's
Use-
that turret's down, so now she pushes. They know that.
UCSD
know
is now
she's coming
planting.
down.
This is going to make this even more difficult for her because now she has to get around those two opponents to defuse.
Yeah, and it looks like they might be coming doors to take her out a little bit, or just weeding maybe.
They're trying to push her out because she did reveal her position earlier when she fired off a few shots that missed. And you could tell that UCSD was not terribly bothered by that. They just went off to plant anyways because they kind of know, okay, if she didn't move now, They're still back there. Let's just go after we're done planting.
Baiting that util, tapping his spike.
And that's exactly what we see.
Unsuccessful.
Attackers win.
Yeah, I do. The KJ mollies are annoying, and especially because you can see them. She shot one out under the spike, or she was anticipating one to be under the spike, but did not shoot out the one that was visible on the ground, which is interesting, but it's okay. But yeah, it looks like we're going to see maybe B, maybe A, but we got a couple going across ropes. And by a couple, I mean 3, and then we have a couple going main. But yeah, it looks like B push, which unfortunately, it appears that our defenders have also decided on as the site that they are going to defend, which is a little bit unfortunate.
I say they have both heading down that same lane.
Yeah.
UCSD actually sending an agent. Oh, and here they slide back
Yep,
down.
and we're there, going back across ropes,
Yeah.
we're rotating, but unfortunately, our defenders are also rotating all the way.
That's the thing. Very, very good play for both. With UWs essentially correctly predicting and following around UCSD's movements.
Yep. And this is just going to be.
It's not even really prediction so much as an educated guess.
Yeah, and this is a
hypothesis.
very tight spot to push from, especially as a defender, and especially without smoke, because now they have to push through smoke. They don't know where anybody is, but it looks like most of our attackers are playing offsite.
Right. As I was mentioning, with them being able to track the opposing team's movements so often.
And they shot out all the KJ mollies, which is really useful because they can't play postman as much as effectively without those. We started that defuse, and then the wall went down, and they can't because they're in.
And UCSD is now up in 4v2.
Enemy remaining.
3v1, 2v1.
And
Now
on
timer's
8
getting
health.
faster and faster, but as you mentioned, we've seen that timer get pretty
And
close down to the wire.
She's just gonna save her gun.
Uh,
Oh, maybe not.
and the attackers win.
Just kidding. Yeah,
I believe that's the first time we've seen Spike actually detonate. Because
Yeah, I
usually we
think
just
so.
see we just see the team either
it's cut off
wiped
first,
or we just don't see the Spike planted at all.
yeah, but it looks like we're getting full buy for our Husky Phantoms and
So
a
you honestly
light buy.
you honestly can't even blame the last living member of Husky Phantoms in that last round, because it would have been very hard for her to get to that diffusion state because it was 1v2. She was already so far away from where they had planted it.
Yeah.
And with no teams to support to keep the opposing team off her while diffusing, it was just going to be a really tough battle. So we do see that Spike detonate.
This is a 5 push through arcade on B, which is gonna be really interesting. But Viper on our defense is in a really good position for just a really good flank. But now everybody knows where they are.
Yep.
Just dodging that fade util, not giving away position. She's just sitting
So we
quietly.
see
up
the
the tower.
UW actually relatively spread out, whereas UCSD is consolidated all to B. Now half their team rotating around.
Yeah, the Navy looks like we're still pushing B a little bit slower. Fade maybe watching that flank. And Viper from the Husky Phantoms is not pushed up through dish yet for that advantageous flank that she could.
This pre-plant stage going a little slower, especially because UCSD is now currently playing from a disadvantage, 5-2.
Yeah, they spike down and it's that was
Flawless.
not good. That was not
UW's taking
great
their
position to be in.
their first game win of the round.
But it's a 1-2, so
Oh,
not
round
quite as roll as we saw in our last game, but
That's what I kept saying last round. That the Husky Phantoms X are going to have to keep it a lot closer than last game if we hope to take this to a game 3 scenario, because you honestly just want to keep it neck and neck.
yeah. But yeah, our defense pretty spread out, but Fracture's big map, so that feels appropriate.
We've seen that a few times, where both teams will kind of be spread across both halves. They search for either a place to plant or a place to just wipe out the opposing team.
Yep.
Like I said, just searching for that information.
Yeah,
As I was saying earlier, you don't really want to make it a guessing game. You want to guess as little as possible.
Yeah.
That's why I said educated guess, because it's more so just obtaining information, playing off of it, and then executing.
Yeah. It looks like our Navy has begun to push on A site. Possibly the early B presence may have been just to bait a little bit of the defense.
Yeah, especially now as we see
get over
most
there,
of
but
the Husky Phantoms heading towards A.
yeah, but they've fully rotated now, and it looks like we're going back
I
to
say
B.
UCSD is rotating back actually.
And
I think
the Husky Phantoms are also rotating back.
have realized this, but have left one player behind to kind of
Yep.
keep watch. as the other two sort of sweep that mid lane.
Yeah, and not a full rotate here from Phantom's X, but oh, those KJ mollies are brutal. Wind Raze only has 21 HP now.
We're seeing the Husky Phantoms consolidate more, make a full rotation as the Navy has really revealed the position a little bit more. And planting has been completed. We're now going to the post-plant phase with UCSD, a slight kill lead.
Yeah, and using that KJ ult, honestly, because they know that the defense is going to rotate immediately once they realize that everybody's there. So throwing down that KJ ult so that they cannot enter site and they get a safe plant is really beneficial. Looks like we've got all of them, all of the Navy sitting tower and arcade, which is interesting. But it also puts them in a really tight position because they could get pushed from 2 places, and if they're not fast enough to flick out of there, then...
All right.
Yep, last one, tower, and we're gonna see... Ooh, and she...
Unfortunate trade.
Yeah. But they don't
Just
get the
diffusing,
defuse
getting
here,
very close.
Yep, nope.
Just...
A little too
I
close.
say, the game's right. It was a very clutch play, whereas
Yeah.
we were mentioning that it's like that. It's okay to be a little safe on that post-plant phase, where you're honestly trying to factor in the fact that diffusing will take a small chunk of time for the opponents.
Yeah, and it was just barely not enough. Just barely. By like a second. Well, so that's not just barely. But just a little bit of time. But UCSD still can't full buy. We've got 2 players with a Vanilla and Phantom, and I think the rest of them are buying Spectres and the like. But yeah, it looks like the Navy's KJ is going to be pushing up through Dish, maybe a little bit of contact with that Viper, and the rest of them are going to push through A main. So we're going to see lots of contact here as they push, especially because I believe the Husky Phantoms Reyna is flanking, but oof, the Navy is watching that flank hard, and Reyna takes it. We're gonna see if she gets these two picks here.
A light trade with UCSD and Navy, and UW Husky Phantoms X are currently 4v4.
Yep, I don't know if UCSD Navy was going for a rotate or if they're just watching flank, but
I think UCSD was going for a rotate there, except they got pinned down because the UWs were actually flanking them.
Yep. And she takes out that Reyna, and that, she is rotating.
Yeah.
On 30 HP, and I don't know that the Husky Phantoms have caught on that she's fully rotating yet, but I think that intel from Reyna, they're going to push up your spawn just a little bit.
Yeah, we see the 2 remaining players from Husky Phantoms X rotating as well, probably searching mid, preparing to go into B.
And it's just so unfortunate not knowing where the Husky Phantoms are, because now the Navy is doing a very slow push, but if she can bait out just a little bit longer so that the defense goes back to A, maybe just gets a little hesitant, but they know she's there.
I say so little time to plant now though.
Yep. And those KJ Molly's forcing her to
UW's taking another game. As we said, much closer.
Yep.
Especially in this early game state, because last time the early game was actually in UW's favor.
Yes.
And even though it's in UCSD's favor now, it is still closer than the streaks that we were seeing built up last game.
It has been definitely a lot more back and forth than it was on the last map, and honestly, it's probably because of the map choice.
Yes.
And with Fracture is a very good map. I love it. Lots of people don't like it though because of how often rotates occur.
We've actually seen that play out a lot. I mean, UCSD had, I believe it was Day was the only player left in, and she rotated all the way across from A to B, and it was very close to bringing back, I believe it was almost 4v1, might have been 3v1.
Yeah.
But she started whittling down the other team, then rotated all the way across.
Yeah.
But it was too late to plant, even if she had managed to stick down to B, because UW did a pretty good job of pinning her away.
Yep. Looks like a slow push on the B main for the Navy. We got 1 on A, but we're gonna see the Husky Phantoms rotating now. Everybody's rotating on the B.
Husky Phantoms actually taking an early kill lead, with Navy kind of just
yep, and the Navy is rotating
in the middle of that
now.
bottom lane, rotating back to A.
But the Husky Phantoms still on B, but catching on a little bit because they're starting to clear site entirely now.
I was just about to mention
we're going to see a rotate.
The Husky Phantoms actually are pretty spread out over the entire map, but they are en route to track down USD Navy.
Yep, and now that they've cleared the entire site, they know that there's no contact, and we've had a little bit of contact on A. We're probably going to see a little bit of a faster rotate. Maybe all 3 of them will flank. It looks like all three of them are going to flank the Navy here, coming through, attacking spawn.
Husky Phantom Zex, as we see, they might, unless they take the top lane, they are doing that. I was like, if they go down that bottom hallway, they're going to get hard flanked between both halves with the Husky Phantom Zex. But we have seen them spread out. They're still pinned in that. Yeah, they're about to get. There we go. I was about to say really hard pincer attack, and it does close in with UW. Husky Phantom Zex taking another round, now tied 3-3.
Yep, and that was a flawless round. That was really good, especially with 3 of their players watching the rotate, flanking, and just making sure that if they attempt to rotate off of site, they will be picked off.
The game calls it flawless, and honestly, it was pretty flawless execution of the team, kind of coordinating to, even though UCSD couldn't see it, basically have them pinned down from every direction at all times.
Yep.
Because they had gotten pushed into a corner so early on.
Yep. And especially just knowing that rotation happens so frequently, and especially knowing that the Navy is so keen to rotate and just will rotate very quickly. Watching that flank with 3 of the defenders is a really good strategic play.
Yeah, we even mentioned that even though UCSD was taking the early momentum, like an early lead, UW's Husky Phantom X has shown the entire round, especially now tying it, that they've had pretty good control over the map. Sort of just their ability to maneuver, keep the opposing team pinned.
Yeah, we saw the ult from the Navy. I am not sure how many people it caught, but the Husky Phantoms are playing offside a little bit now, slowly pushing up and trying to take the space back. They have Spike down, that Brim ult knocking them, just not allowing them to enter site. We're going to perhaps see plant quickly here.
Shroom on 30 health. That's going to be
You should run.
Yes,
but UCSD is planning. I was going to mention, like Spike planted, I'm like, not yet. They actually got interrupted just before
not
it.
Yet.
And now it's honestly going to be a much tighter game because of it.
But Spike is down now, and the defenders cannot enter site for just a little bit longer. Avoiding that, I don't think any of them got detained. They were pretty far off site, but we might see some contact there. Arcade, yep. Viper getting a pick in Arcade, and then Killjoy is pushing up onto site slowly because
we see some interesting maneuvering from both teams. Where, I would say we said Navy was
walking into that.
That's
into
what I was
that
mentioning.
Viper until just to
UW's had one player in B and the other player closer to mid but coming towards B, whereas UCSD had 2 players coming in to sort of do a pincer attack on B. And they very much surgically took out that first player, and then unfortunately the last player from Husky Phantom Zex did walk right in.
Yeah, just so unfortunate. That Viper util is very useful, but walking into it just to get a pick, it was an interesting play and would have been really cool if she pulled it off. But
it was very deadly instead.
Right. But it is the next round, first ever next round.
The first ever 7th round. Nope,
we have
8th.
first ever 8th round of game 2
of the first ever women's only
Navy's Killjoy pushing up dish. We're gonna see some contact here between the Navy's Killjoy and or perhaps not, and the Vipers and the Husky Phantom's Viper. KJ taking out the Viper. Now we know where she is. We're gonna be watching drop a lot more closely, but we've got 2 on site and 2 coming through spawn, and we've got.
We are seeing UCSD pull ahead against UW. They also are coming off of a game win, so I'm eager to see if UW can continue to keep it close. But it turns out for this round, Husky Phantom Zex are going to have a hard time diffusing that spike.
Especially in a 1v3 situation, and on such low health, is going to be really difficult when she doesn't have a setup there to.
Yeah, I say Hey Blue with only 30 health, very close to getting pinned down by all 3 members of the opposing team.
And being stunned and stuck behind that KJ Molly is just a really difficult position to be in, especially on such low health, because you don't have as much time to kind of spray through that stun. Your gun doesn't shoot as fast, you can't see anything. It's just a really unfortunate disadvantageous position to be in. And we're gonna see a timeout here from the defenders from UW. So
I say UCSD coming off a streak of 2 wins, I believe, two run wins, and UW pulling their timeout, their first in the half.
They're only first only
in this half. I was gonna say first in the game, but it's like it's just in the half. First in general, we have seen UW pull that timer. I mean, that timeout a lot more often, usually because they're having to come from a position where they're behind UCSD. Although this time the position is much closer,
Yes.
so it's likely that they're trying to kind of build up their own momentum, discuss play for going into the next round.
Yep. Just to take that a lot stronger is what they're hoping for, I think, because when it's a back and forth, like, you're going to go into overtime, and then if you keep going back and forth, then the game's never going to end. So looking for that advantage that you can get over the other team and just pulling through with a win streak and just getting that advantage is just really important.
It is definitely just advantageous to kind of keep it even for now, since they're currently the ones playing from behind.
Yep.
But obviously we're trying to push as hard as we can to take. They're pushing as hard as they can to take that lead.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting positioning. Yeah, we're gonna see him leave spawn 1 second before the round starts. But Killjoy going again on the other side of Ropes.
UW pretty evenly split between A and B.
Yeah, and we got the
and now
Husky
both
Phantoms
of them are rotating up to the middle.
pushing just really fast through drop, and then Killjoy sees that she's about to get attacked by 4 people at once and leaves.
I was gonna say, I was like, she saw about to get flanked from both sides.
We have those Brim
zip
smokes
lines across
going
the map.
down to control that space because they know there's a bunch of people coming drop. You gotta smoke that off so that they cannot enter as quickly. But we have Reyna throwing her flash out so that they can enter. Ooh, just getting just getting picked off so quickly
I
from
say
that.
a crazy amount of picks from Shroom.
Just sitting drop, taking out 3 of them as they enter site, and then the 1 left.
Coming off that timeout, UCSD taking another round.
Yep. And it is now 6-3 in favor of the USD Navy with a 3-round win streak. We're gonna see.
We did see this last time where UW Husky Phantoms X got shut down to 3 wins for a little while. Hopefully we're gonna see them kind of break that curse, escape that fate this round.
Yep. I think any departure from what they commonly do, I think is gonna be really interesting. We're gonna see Viper smokes just to get the ult point. KJ from TSD is gonna just a little bit closer to that ult, which is really useful on attack. It looks like a much slower push from the Navy onto B site, but we have most of the Husky Phantoms on A right now.
Yeah. It's still a good even amount distributed to B and then 1 on top. It seems like they are moving through the middle back to B, as we can tell now that all of USCSD is been to B.
Yep. And that Viper ult just not allowing them to enter site unless they want to be taken out very quickly.
There's one player who rotated under the map for just a moment, trying to see if that could be potentially where the Husky Phantoms were planning to come in from. They're trying to flank, but nope, they're coming all from the middle. And the Husky Phantoms X are now tied with Navy for 3v3.
Yep, and it looks like, we're going to see the Navy perhaps rotate. A little hesitant. But it's throwing the Husky Phantoms off quite effectively. With only 30 seconds left, they have to make a decision, and it looks like they are going to push onto B side very slowly.
So we're very likely going to see the plant on B because there's just no longer the time to rotate back to A. The Husky Phantoms close in, but they are down 3-2.
Yep, and with Jet on such low HP, and they're both coming from the same spot, we might see both of them go Gen. One of them might break off, go Canteen, which it looks like, yep. They're both going to go Gen, and it's just going to be difficult to take this back, especially having no information on where they are. And now it is a 1v2 for the Husky Phantoms Killjoy, and she has her turret, but no other util.
Yeah, it's like very difficult, but still doable.
Yeah. She's not gonna ult here, but
I say she got flanked pretty hard.
That was cool.
She was getting flanked and successfully. She was first taking out one from the front, and then one came in from the side.
Yep.
And she was successfully able to turn around and take them out, turning it into a 1v1. But was still not able to pull it out because of the first person she had the shootout with.
And
just took advantage of the low health at that point.
This is interesting because the Husky Phantoms, I believe, have the credits to full buy, but we have 4 Sheriffs and 1 Spectre, while the UCSD Navy, we're going to see a full buy from all of them. But 4 Sheriffs that have shields is an interesting play, and I wonder how it's going to turn out. But definitely defending B just so much harder than they did last round. And UCSD Navy, I think, was attempting to rotate off as soon as they realized that the entire Husky Phantoms was there. But throwing that breach util.
Still kind of like kind of waffling a little bit right there.
Yeah.
Of whether or not to rotate it back, and they are deciding to make a large push to A as the Husky Phantoms X kind of still linger in B.
Yeah.
But we're going to see some of them start rotating over themselves, try and scout out where they went. Because obviously you can tell, okay, they're not pushing anymore. But they're not pinned down to the location we had them at before.
Yep, and especially that Viper smoke on B main, very useful to stop them pushing, but also blocks off a lot of the information because it couldn't see them rotate.
Planted.
Yeah, it looks
All right,
like
UCSD planting spike in A.
all 4 of the Husky Phantoms have gone through spawn. We got one going.
It is unfortunate
ropes.
that they have that one player down. Because we see that that kill lead early on, panning out so importantly later on. Because the Husky Phantoms X have been able to keep every game pretty close, every run pretty close. But that early lead really works against them. Flawless in an instant, losing the last 3 members of their team.
Yeah.
And
That was a rough.
now it's the last round before swap. UW's probably definitely hoping to take a win here, because that 8-3 lead is looking less and less bearable as time goes on.
Yeah, especially with a 5-round win streak from UCSD, and yep, and we're gonna see a timeout from UCSD. Interestingly enough, after a 5-round win streak,
Now, would that timeout count for it last half or for the upcoming half?
for this half.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah. So this half, this is their timeout that they can take, which is interesting. I think it is interesting that they are interrupting their 5-round win streak with a timeout.
Yeah,
But,
I think it's because they're already being interrupted with a swap, so it's kind of just a, like we said, strategy meaning of, okay, how are we going into this next
Maybe.
win? Because we can see if their momentum will hold up into the next round now that they're swapping positions.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's obviously too soon to make a call on that, but UW is definitely getting time now to discuss their own strategy.
Yes.
Because as we said, you really don't want to be down with it still 8-3
Yeah.
while going into the swap.
It's definitely a not great position to be in, but it's the same position that we saw in the last round and a half.
That's what I
in
mean,
the
is that
first game, but not quite as disheartening a situation.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is that of what you don't want to see. Because obviously you don't want to be losing, but I just mean you
Yeah.
don't want to be repeating fate
Yes,
more
yeah,
so. Where it's like obviously you never want to be down any amount of games,
Yeah.
but this many games in the same way as last time.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to make it difficult. You need to show like a bit of a greater level of adaptation.
Yep.
Whereas because UW has still been putting up a good fight, and like I said, their movement has been nice. But they've just taken less advantage as time goes on of UCSD's very frequent rotations.
Yep. So a little bit of that peeker's advantage. Just unfortunate.
Peeker's advantage.
Yeah, because if you're peeking out of a corner
Yeah.
and you can't see the people on the other side, they could potentially still see your shoulder, and that's what we saw
Yeah.
in the tunnel underneath the beast.
I remember it's a similar concept in CS because it's obviously vaguely similar games in terms of how the objectives play out. UCSD winning another round.
Yep, just throwing down all of their util.
I mean, you might as well.
Yeah. When it all goes away, it's just funny because we saw a bunch of ults all at the same time.
And we have seen the role switch now.
Yes, yeah. So UCSD UCSD Navy is
Yeah.
going to be on the defense, and the
Yes.
UW Husky Phantoms X are on the attack now.
Yep.
We're going to see how this strategy changes. I wonder if it's going to look the same as it did on Ascent.
Yeah,
it looks like 5-man push.
there's
on
change to
A.
Fracture definitely was helping UW out earlier in the game, but UCSD has adapted and is honestly just, like we said, very frequently rotating back and forth in a way that when UW takes around, it's usually because they were able to make sort of pincer attack, keep them pinned in
Yeah,
that bottom
and
middle.
Just anticipate
Yeah.
the movement.
But anytime they spend a little bit too long waiting to see if they're still peeking around the corner when they're actually just rotating, UCSD was able to take advantage. But with UCSD now defending, we'll see if that knowledge of the map actually pans out the same way.
Enemy remaining.
So far, the UWs are unfortunately now playing 1-4.
Yeah, and she has spikes, so we could potentially see her rotate, but unfortunately, the
She's now
fade
getting
walking
flanked.
through
Yeah.
walking through spawn is just not going to be good unless and she gets picked up.
Alright, but she's now
timing
gonna
was
have to
very
dash
good.
because she either dashes to B, like all the way across the map, or
Yeah.
takes on a 1v3
Yeah.
in this hall.
Which honestly, with Reyna's util, probably the best agent to try to do that with, but unfortunately she gets head tapped so quickly by
now 10 to 3.
UCSD. Sova,
Getting-
but yeah.
Safe to say that we are approaching the end state of the game now.
Yep.
With UCSD only needing a few more rounds to win game 2.
We
And
could see a
UW
little bit
seeing
of
a similar unfortunate deficit for the Husky
Yeah.
Phantoms X.
we could see a little bit of a 9-3 curse situation, a little bit of a comeback for the Husky Phantoms, but with UCSD Navy taking round 1, it is not looking too good. Get that
I was just
KJ
saying,
set up.
that's what I say. Unfortunately, we've seen it pan out that the whichever role they're playing hasn't really mixed up how good the Husky Phantoms X do from round to round.
Mhm.
It's usually again their early kill lead, or even better, actual like control of the map by calling out when UCSD wants to rotate, which they do frequently.
Looks like we have 2 of the attackers just
chilling.
sitting ropes, watching both sides of that, waiting for
So
the
we do see one of the
rotate, getting a
defenders
pick
pull around, but they
early.
pick her off. That's interesting. It's kind of almost
Mhm.
back to back in a way, but except
Yeah.
you're facing each other.
Yeah,
where
now the Husky Phantoms, 2 of them, one with Spike, now going to B. We have 1 more pushing up through main, and then it looks like the other 2 are going to be rotating.
We see
from
though the
A.
most sizable portion of the Navy are waiting in B.
Yep, and the UCSD Navy is going to be pushing. We have 1 going through drop, 1 going through, or 2 going through spawn, and the one on Spike, the one on site got picked off pretty quickly. That breach
All right, the
until.
Husky Phantoms X. I was about commentator's curse. I was about to say coming with the lead they need, but they just traded twice, and instead of a 4v3, it's now a 2v2.
And now it
That's
is
a
a
1v2.
Ooh, and Reyna gets picked
And
off.
Navy pulls ahead.
Yep.
But they do have to defuse this spike, but I don't think there's going to be much problem with plenty of
Yeah.
time on the clock and 2 agents left around to do it.
But yeah, that Reyna left alone is honestly not as with numbers. Numbers are very, very important for the game, but especially when it's like Reyna. Like I'm not going to be as worried for a Reyna in a 1v3 situation as I would be for like say a KJ in a 1v3 situation.
That is it. It's because it's not just because numbers mostly just mean like loss of team synergy,
Yeah.
but you could also have like the individual players' like ability to stay cool under pressure, and the character's ability and just potential resources to deal with
it definitely the
2v1.
success of like a 1v3 situation definitely depends a lot on the agent's util available, and honestly Reyna, especially for situations where you need to get picks really fast, Reyna's util is going to be really beneficial there. But yeah, looks like we got the Husky Phantoms pushing up A main, Jet watching a little bit of that rotate from B, perhaps making a lot of noise A, but we might see them go B, and the UCSD Navy are rotating to A, seems like, which is going to be really unfortunate because the Husky Phantoms are probably going to get side here.
It would be nice for the Husky Phantoms to, however, take the early win lead because they really need this game win when UCSD is 11. Very, very close to not only like the late state of the game, but the end state of the game.
Yes.
One more win and one more win by Navy, and the Husky Phantoms actually will be pinned back into the same situation they were last game, which is, as I said, was the exact kind of thing you're hoping to avoid, where UCSD will only need essentially 2 more wins, and then it would be a 2-0 for the Navy. But the Husky Phantoms X still have ample time to win this round, which is going to prove really important, not letting the Navy get to 12.
Yeah, and it looks like we saw the Husky Phantoms fake a rotate, I believe.
I was say I was just about to point out we have really good movement from the Husky Phantoms X now. Them all consolidating towards B, with the Navy lagging behind a little bit.
And now they have sight entirely, and the UCSD Navy is just forced to push all 3 defenders line, which is really unfortunate. Although it is less unfortunate because there are 2 points of entry there. You have generator and you have canteen, but it is still unfortunate because the crosshair placement is going to be really, really vital. But with that Viper wall, it might not be as bad.
The Husky Phantoms are going to have to play this really safe, especially because now they no longer have the kill lead.
Yep.
And there we go.
Like you said, playing it safe, walking into the brim. that
Those
is
are 2 different
what
things.
I would call playing it safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the diffuse
I was essentially just going to iterate what I mentioned earlier, where it's like you have to play that post-plant phase safe, because it doesn't matter that you've got it down, you need to detonate, and again, you have a little bit more time because they were up at the time because it was I believe 5v4 by the time of the spike being planted. But Navy quickly turned it around by picking off like 3 at the same time.
Yep.
And at that point, it was just it was going to be much harder for the Husky Phantom X to actually defend the spike they just planted. So now they have to play it less safe.
Yep, and UW taking their second time out of the game, first time out of the half.
Yes.
And
UCSD also put out a timeout last round.
Yeah.
Or last half.
And it's going to be, it is very important because now they're in a 12 to 5
about
situation. Very difficult to come back from. Only a seven round difference.
It's so not just the round difference.
Better
now,
than
though.
last time by a round.
It's more so just like it's not just the rounds difference. It's the it's not how far the Husky Phantoms X are from the Navy. It's how close the Navy are to the win state.
Yeah, because if you have this big of a difference, and the opposing team is not at 12 rounds, it is not, like, obviously you need to take back those rounds, but it's not as scary of a situation as it is right now when you are 7 rounds away from winning, from going into overtime, and they're 1 round away from winning the game.
Exactly, where 8-4 and 12-8 are the exact same round difference, but because they're sitting at 12 and you're not you're not in the 2 round difference you need, they can just pick it off with 1 more round.
Yep.
So we could be going into what is the last round of the second game of the first week.
First ever.
Of the first ever women's only collegiate Valorant League. Purple Rain.
Yeah, and UCSD, our defense has pushed up quite fast compared to how they were playing in the other rounds. Pushing up into spawn and getting just so many picks there.
I would say this is definitely an all or nothing game where it's a 2v3 and both teams have picked off so many players from the opposing team.
The Navy looking for that just the clean sweep.
Interesting with the Navy sweeping, like rotating all the way to B, but Husky Phantoms X planting in A.
Yeah, definitely some really good positioning, some really good intel on the Husky Phantom side, and now
they're actually shifting to the middle.
Yeah, they're gonna be playing from spawn, and we have the Navy pushing up through main, which is just honestly really good.
I would say very good positioning for the Husky Phantoms to move around that corner and essentially just force the Navy to walk in.
Yeah, and now the Husky Phantoms are being forced off site. If they can get these picks and break the KJ ult, then they win the round. But if Fade manages to stay alive, which she is not able to, Husky Phantoms take the round.
Interesting, and kind of an offensive defense that we saw there. Because I mentioned that like it's nice to play it safe, and they did for the beginning to lure them out, and then just sort of clamp down as soon as you got them in your trap.
Yep.
Where Navy really had no other option but to walk right into it.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're going to see the Navy push up as strongly as they did last round, even though it didn't work as well. I wonder if they're going to do that, just because, like, they've got to get around at some point. If they push really hard, it just is all about timing and positioning. And if they manage to get it right in that sweet spot in the next 8 rounds, then they win.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the Husky Phantoms actually do win the next, like, let's say 8 rounds, well, before we even get to overtime, wouldn't it swap roles again? No, it only swaps one. Oh, because it's 1 half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they win,
you swap every half. So there's only 2.
So if they win the next 8, then we go into overtime and then we'll swap.
Yeah. That's what I meant. You swap on. They won't swap until overtime. Essentially, is what we're establishing.
But we've got the Husky Phantoms playing a little bit of a slower push with our attacking, and the Navy also playing slower.
Yeah, so we see one of the attackers lingering just above A.
Yep, and that raise ult taking. Ooh!
Wow!
And the Guardian, that.
Oh my god, that was a incredibly difficult scenario, and the UCSD pulled it off, where it was honestly 1 player to 3, and I believe that like closes out the series.
Yeah, they took game 2, first ever game 2 is over. First ever game 2 of the first ever women's only collegiate series.
Valorant League. Which
exciting.
means that UCSD Navy closes out their first week 2-0 in week 1, sending the Husky Phantoms X win a 0-1 now for the beginning of the series.
Yep. But those were great games. Just really unfortunate because
They
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 get
were
into those strong win streaks that the Husky Phantoms are just not able to break up, unfortunately.
That's what I was saying. Is that they were great games because the Husky Phantoms kept it really close.
Yeah.
Every single game, well, every single round. It's just that they
Yeah.
were never able to close it out.
Yeah.
Because the UCSD just kind of exploited better maneuvering.
Yeah.
And just like we said, you get enough of that lead, and
Yeah.
it just gets harder and harder to turn it around, especially when you get to the end state, when you're in about that 10-win range, and
Yeah.
you still have your opponent pinned down at 3-5.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really difficult situation, and we did see that difficulty play out with UCSD taking both games in that fashion.
And I think the difference, honestly, is just between the positioning, honestly, because the UCC, like the Navy, has been so good in these past few games about knowing where their enemy is, and even if they don't know where their enemy is, not moving too fast until they have enough intel to move. And I think the Husky Phantoms just struggled with being able to kind of strategize when they didn't have enough information. But I think like seeing that hesitancy from the UCSD Navy and seeing that hesitancy, honestly, they beefed it up a little bit. The Husky Phantoms beefed up their they waited. They slowed it down a little bit on Fracture, but just they were not able to kind of match up where the UCSD Navy was.
That is what I was going to point out, is that even though UW sort of had similar levels of kind of figuring out where their opponents were, they would overcommit and allow UCSD to just rotate back. I was like to beta rotation and come back.
That's right. Fracture is so fun because of the fast rotates and like how big of a map it is. That you can play so much in those mid areas, which one of them is like spawn. So you can get into really unfortunate positioning.
Right. And like as you had mentioned, that UW was sort of taking advantage of those rotations at the very beginning of the game. It was just that UCSD quickly adapted and just put it to work.
Yep. But enough about the first ever week 1 games of the first ever women's only collegiate Valorant series. We are going to talk about a little bit of our upcoming streams. Like we said, next week we're going to be right back here for Purple Rain. First ever week 2 Purple Rain Valorant series presented by Rockstar Energy Drink. Super excited.
March 2nd at 7 p.m. Same bad time, same bad
I
channel.
will. I know that I will be here, so you better be here. So excited for first ever week 2. Yeah.
So we are so glad to have everyone who's in Purple Rain so far. So glad you all tuned in. We're so excited to get into our upcoming weeks. As like one last reminder, that next one being at March 2nd, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Be here. Well, be there wherever you are. Be there.
And another important reminder is that, again, all of this, including the $5,000 prize pool, is presented by Rockstar.
Amen, brother.
I was like, even if GC Esports brings you this broadcast, we couldn't put on the whole event without them.
We could not do it without
million
you,
thanks,
Rockstar. Thank you.
I mean, also, I know we're very gracious because it really gets us going.
My chem exam tomorrow will also be presented by Rockstar.
You were definitely telling me about that earlier.
Just super excited to be a part of this. I'm super grateful for everybody that is participating.
Yes, I mentioned I am so humbled to be on this as well.
Love Micah.
Thank you. Love you too.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Again, also thanks to the teams for playing. Very good sportsmanship all around. And good luck to all those teams coming in their future games.
Yep. GG's.